you're taking these spots away from 18 and 19-year-olds that are figuring it out, have potential. Yeah, it,
Yep.
it just shouldn't be happening. All right, welcome back to Two Generations, One Mike. We have a great episode in store today. We had the divisional or the conference championship games this past weekend, so that'll be fun to break down. Pat, good to be with you.
Hey, bud. And also, don't forget, we had the American Express Championships and the
Yes,
PGA Tour. I know that's high on your list. It's going to be
very.
crazy, though. We've got basically this one to talk about, and then a little bit of Super Bowl preview weeks, and then the Super Bowl itself, and then we're finished talking about football in terms of actual on-field play
Yeah.
for a number of months, which will be interesting since we started this. It's the first time we will have been without football, so embarking on new territory for us.
Yeah, when we started this, we were in the thick of the football season, so it will be
Totally.
funny to see it moving forward without football. Before we get started, though, a quick word from our sponsor. Technology should move your business forward, not slow it down. That's where Align Management Agency comes in. Owned by Scott Bills, Align is an IT consulting firm dedicated to helping organizations maximize the value of their technology partnerships. If you rely on outsourced IT, vendor contracts, or managed service providers, Align makes sure those agreements actually work in your favor. Align specializes in outsourced IT management and contract evaluation, uncovering hidden costs, inefficiencies, and missed opportunities. With deeper experience negotiating and optimizing IT contracts across industries, Align delivers unbiased, results driven guidance so you get the right support at the right price. From vendor negotiations and strategic outsourcing to procurement assistance and serving as a virtual point of contact between vendors and stakeholders, Align gives you clarity, confidence, and control over your IT relationships. Let your team focus on growing the business, while Align handles the complexity behind the scenes. Call Scott Bills at 605 321 8939 to learn more. That's Align Management Agency. IT partnerships aligned with your goals. All right, and then before we get into the NFL, have to start it off with Pat's jersey. What do we got today?
All right, in honor of football, we're going football, Ben.
Nice.
And of course, we're going to do a Minnesota Viking. We haven't had the Vikings yet. Technically, we did Warren Moon, who was a Viking, but the jersey was his Houston Oilers jersey.
Yeah.
So today, we got John Randall.
Nice.
Yeah, he. Let me tell you a little bit about Randall, and you'll see in the background too. I've got just a couple of jerseys hanging up just to make it kind of a sporty little background. But we also have the Viking jersey right there. We got Keith Millard. He was an awesome offensive lineman for the Vikes. Played, what was he, 85 to 91. So he was pretty awesome. But Randall, that guy was a beast, Ben. I'm telling you, I actually had the opportunity to be at some of his games, and the guy was just a beast all over the place. And then when you watch some of the old NFL films of him mic'd up, and whether they actually had a mic on him back then or if it was just one of those pinpointed microphones from the sidelines, he was sick. He would talk more trash than you can believe. But let me give you a couple of stats about him. He's from Mumford, Texas. He played at two colleges. He played at Trinity Valley, and then he played at a college at the time called Texas A&I, which is now Texas A&M Kingsville, and they're the Kingsville Javelinas. So there you go. He was in the 1990 draft, and he actually went undrafted. Played for the Vikings from 90 to 2000. Then he played for the Seahawks from 2001 to 2003 and then retired.
Gotcha.
Six-time first-team All-Pro, seven-time Pro Bowler. He was the NFL, the NFL sack leader in 1997. He was in the 1990s All-Decade team and he actually was on the NFL 100th anniversary all-time team.
Wow.
So that, I mean, that really tells you, how good he was. I mean, to be considered for those, I mean, can you imagine trying to put together an NFL 100th birthday or anniversary all NFL team? I don't even know how you begin to do that. So
It'd be so hard.
Oh, it'd be so hard. So anyway, that's John Randall for you, bud.
Yeah, love it. Those old Vikings jerseys are so cool.
Oh, yeah, it's got the. I know. Aren't they great? I mean, you've got that bright yellow around the white number. I mean, so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, look at this old one. Is also like kind of like the as I'm getting jerseys ready and what I'm gonna get and this and that for this. Looking at like the old Raiders jersey.
Yeah.
The old Raiders jerseys are just black with like the white number with zero highlights, zero shadowing, zero anything around the number, and then maybe a silver or white stripe on the sleeve. But I mean, that is it. They're as basic as it gets.
Yeah, love it with John Randall. Now getting into the NFL. So we'll go with the first game, Patriots and Broncos. That was a little bit of a snooze fest. Not a lot of offense.
You're spot on. I have to say, coming out of the gates, I was actually really impressed with Stidham, or how do you pronounce his name?
Yes, Stidham.
Yep, I thought he looked great out of the gates, relatively speaking, because they brought a lot of pressure on the kid.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I thought he handled it great. He hit that great. I mean, you could call it a bomb, but it had a lot of touch on it.
Yep.
And hit him right in stride. And a great touchdown pass in adverse conditions. It hadn't started to snow like it did in the second half, but fantastic. I thought he did very, very well. It's unfortunate that Sean Payton didn't kick that field goal in the second quarter, and they went for it down there, in the red zone of the Patriots, and ultimately those are the 3 points they needed to at least get to overtime.
Yeah, and I saw too in Peyton's presser after the game that he said he regretted the decision, and you hear so much about analytics and stuff these days, like, oh, you got to go for it. There's a 52% chance you're going to get it, whatever. But sometimes you just need the points.
100%. I mean, you know how I feel about Sean Payton. For all those listening at home, my feeling is really awful about Sean Payton. I go around saying he should be in jail, and that is basically because he ran a bounty program when he was a coach of the Saints. And some people may say he didn't know about it, and that Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, did it without anybody's knowledge. I don't care. You're the head coach. You got to know what's going on both sides, both of your coordinators' rooms on what they're doing. And that was the NFC Championship game when Brett Favre was the quarterback for the Vikings, and they should have won. And there were so many late hits and illegal hits in that game. It's unbelievable. So I don't care for Sean Payton simply because of that. But he should be regretting that. I mean, you've got a backup QB as in there as your quarterback. Take the points and move on.
Well, and especially too when at that point it was the second quarter, and you could already get the sense that it was going to be a low-scoring game. Both of those teams have really good defenses. Both of them are top 5 defenses in the league, and they were playing well. Neither offense could really get it going. You just could kind of feel it. So in that situation, you have to know that 3 points is going to matter a lot more here than compared to like the Rams-Seahawks shootout that we're going to get to here in a minute.
Totally. You hit the nail right on the head, Ben.
It was crazy too, just watching the game from start to finish. Just looking at the field, the difference. Where start of the game, it was obviously the weather wasn't great, but the field was clean. And then by the end, that was a serious layer of snow on the field.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like it, as you're watching it, just like in terms of the falling precipitation, you just all of a sudden you just kind of noticed it. Like you said on the field, you're like, oh my gosh, it's snowing more than you think
Yeah.
or
And
thought.
then I did see, though, it was one of Will Lutz's missed field goals. They kind of panned to that, like the behind the kicker angle they do where you can watch the kick. And from that, like, field level angle, you could actually really see it coming down. And I'm like, holy cow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it takes me back to the days talking about early generation. Back in the early '80s, they had the Broncos had a kicker named Rich Carlos, and he would kick barefoot. And there are games where it's just dumping snow, and he's kicking barefoot. It was insane.
I could not imagine that. Your foot has to be so cold.
So cold, and then imagine kicking a rock hard football.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah, it was wild to watch. I mean, it was unbelievable. He kicked barefoot for years. It was unbelievable.
Oh my gosh, that
I can't imagine how much that would hurt.
that is awful. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that.
Yeah,
Um,
crazy.
And then taking a look at the second game here. So Seahawks and Rams. This one was way more fun to watch.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I
And one of the reasons that it was so interesting to watch too, Ben, was because you knew you were watching whichever team won that game. You knew you would be watching most likely the Super Bowl favorite.
yeah, and it is fun too that we have seen these two teams play twice already this season, and both of those games were so good. Going into it, you kind of knew it would be a close one. Man, though, the Rams defense, the Seahawks just got 5 or more yards on every play. They were not able to stop the runs or the checkdowns. It
Right.
just felt like the Rams could never get them to a third and long situation. It was always like, if it got to third down, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you're spot on, Ben. Watching Get Up this morning, I mean, they were very, very critical of the Rams defense and talking about how it had been a problem for the last few weeks of the season, like upwards of the last 9 weeks,
Yeah.
where they had been, part of the problem along with their special teams situation, which ended up playing a major part of the game. I mean, heck, in December, they just fired their special teams coordinator.
Yeah.
So, and all of that ended up coming back to bite them.
Man, and yeah, in the second half when that punter slipped and missed that punt and gave it to the Seahawks right on the 10 or 20 right in there. I forget exactly what it was, but
How electric was that stadium?
holy cow, that was loud.
That has to be, I know a number of people from Seattle that talk about it, but I think it's one of those things that you literally have to experience yourself. I can't imagine, that's one of those things where TV just doesn't do it justice.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard, I saw a quote from Richard Sherman as I was scrolling through my phone that said, legitimately, the 12th man, the fans, play a significant role in how that team performs at home. And he was very adamant about the fact that home field advantage there is very, very real.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. A lot of people I went to college with are from Seattle and go to Seahawks games, and they say if it's like, obviously it depends on the season for the team a little bit, but if it's a
Right.
good team, it is so much fun and so loud. So
I
that's
would
one I
love
want to
to have been there.
experience. Yeah, that'd be a ton of fun.
I
Um,
agree. I agree.
I will say, so that last drive the Rams had, or second to last drive, when there was still like 2-3 minutes left.
So his pass into the end zone that basically was actually at the Seahawks guy, and the Ram had to play defense. I forget if it was Puka or Adams or who the receiver was, had to actually play defense to get the ball away from the quarterback.
Well, and what I was going to say is part of the issue is on those two pass attempts, the 3rd and 4th down, neither of them were to Devontae or Puka. which
Right.
a lot of people have been saying in those situations, one of those pass attempts has to be to one of those guys, depending, or sorry, let me rephrase that. Doesn't even matter how covered they are. You have to give it to one of those guys. Because, I mean, those two guys have two of the best hands in the league. That's who you want your contested catches to go to. And
Oh, for
Puka
sure.
have been doing it all game. The way him and Jackson Smith and Jigba battled that game, I mean, I was sitting there watching it with some of my friends, and at halftime they pulled up the stats, and JSN had 115 yards and Puka had 70 yards. And we were like, holy cow, it's only halftime here.
Right. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I saw another interesting stat that you're talking about also, where, and this was on Get Up this morning, where they put up Darnold and Matthew Stafford's statistics related to just third and fourth down and what they were. And on third and fourth down, Stafford was 0 for 7.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize
I
that.
didn't see that one. Yeah, that is rough.
And Darnold was something really, really good. I mean, you know, I loved having him on the Vikings team last year. It was a lot of fun to cheer for. He was really, really good. Unfortunately, he had a really bad last game of the regular season and first game of the playoffs. Last game of the season is playing for the number one seed. We've talked about it already. You know, playing for the number one seed against the Lions. Winner gets the number one seed and a bye, and home games all the way through the playoffs. Loser becomes the fifth seed and goes on the road against the Rams. And then he went and they lost that game pretty poorly. And then they went and played the Rams in the wild card weekend of the playoffs, and he played not well again. And so thus the Vikings made the decision to let him go, and then the Seahawks picked him up, and the rest is history. I thought he was a fantastic quarterback for the Vikings. I did not want to see him go. And he's, continued on with the Vikings. He's had such a hard career, starting out with the Jets and then the various places that he's been. It started to get resurrected when he was a backup in San Francisco a few years ago, and has just kind of moved on, and now is going to be the quarterback in a Super Bowl and be a favorite. And so I'm happy for him. I think he appears to me on the outside being simply a sports fan. I look at you and I in this show as being basically a water cooler, sit around and talk as if you would be talking about sports.
Yeah.
We don't claim to be anything more than that. And talking about and I think Darnold is great. I like watching him, and I'm happy for him as a person.
Yeah, I mean, after last season, where the last game or two of the regular season and then playoffs, he fell apart a little bit. Now, it was his first playoff appearance in his career, so I can't blame him for that. But part of me throughout this playoffs has kind of been thinking, okay, is this the game it happens? Is this the game it happens? But he's continued on every game and played great. I mean, yesterday he had, 360 passing yards, something like that?
I think 346.
346, yeah.
Yep.
And he
3 touchdowns, no
looks
interceptions.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, too. I think I've mentioned this before, but on a bunch of my Panthers fan pages and stuff, it's a bunch of screenshots because we had Darnold and Baker at the exact same time on the Panthers.
Oh, that's right.
So just looking back, and neither of them panned out. Obviously, I'm happy with Bryce, but seeing those two have the individual success they've had is kind of crushing. But the team around them wasn't great. Yeah.
That is such an interesting part of the NFL, I think, in that a lot of these guys can throw the ball great. It obviously they start to separate themselves with the amount of work that you put into it off the field, in the film room and on the practice field, and working on technique and all of the little things and so on and so forth. But so much of it has to do with the front office, the coaching staff, and the players around you, for everything to come together. And a lot of times you need the stars to align. I mean, you think about how many players are back, how many backup quarterbacks in the NFL could have had a different trajectory on their entire career over all of the years of the thing if a couple different things had gone a couple different ways. I mean, look at Tom Brady. What if Drew Bledsoe did not get hurt on that play that we talked about a few episodes ago?
Yeah.
Do we even ever hear about Tom Brady as a starter? Maybe not. So you need so many things for the stars to align, and bravo to Darnold sticking it out. I mean, to just have an awful rookie season with the Jets and be in the Jets organization that hasn't done a great job developing any quarterbacks.
Nope.
And to plug along through what you talked about, the Carolina Panthers, and and then to catch on at the Niners and move up and then have great years with the Vikings. There's got to be lots of these other stories out there that didn't work out, not because of the person themselves, but a lot of the environment around them. I think it's kind of interesting to think about, the what might have been situation for so many guys.
Yeah, and well, the Niners might have just done it again. I mean, you had Mac Jones, who wasn't what he was supposed to be, kind of a rough start to his career, goes to the Niners, plays for, I forget if it was 5 or 6 games while Brock was hurt, and looked awesome to the point where people were questioning, when Brock does come back, do you start Brock, or Mac Jones is on such a roll right now, do you stick with Mac for the rest of the season? Kind of like Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe. But Mac is probably now, because of that, going to go somewhere just like Darnold. If it's a good team around him and be successful, I could totally see that happening.
Totally. And then take a story like David Carr. So Derek Carr's brother from a number of years prior, who was, I think he was actually the number 1 overall draft pick by the Houston Texans.
Yep.
And they were just getting started. I don't know if he was their very first quarterback, but he was very early in the Texans' life.
Yeah.
And had 0 line around him, and actually set the record for the number of times a quarterback is sacked in the year in one single season, and proceeded to get just absolutely beat up and throttled to the point where he essentially became gun shy, and then that was it.
Yeah. It's so sad.
The team around him, does he become the next Brady?
Yeah. And I mean, I know for his record for number of sacks taken in a single season, that stood for, I think, almost 15 years.
Right.
Up
Right.
until maybe it was Deshaun or someone got sacked more, but yeah.
Yeah, crazy to think about that. Yeah. You could get yourself all twisted up.
No, and there's just so many names you could go back and say, what if they were in a better situation?
Right. Whether it be coaching, player personnel on the field, or a combination of both.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So then going into the Super Bowl here, it's obviously Patriots and Seahawks. So for DraftKings, they currently have the Seahawks at -4.5.
Yeah. Well, I frankly would take the Seahawks. I don't know what else to say about it.
The way they're just rolling on both sides of the ball, I mean, yeah, they gave up a lot of points to the Rams, but they stepped up when it matters, and the Rams are arguably the best offense in football. Pass games, though, I mean, against the Niners, they were awesome. Only holding them to 6 points, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, they are really good all the way around.
Mm-hmm. And I think the public's thinking a lot of the same thing. I saw that when they officially released the game, the original line was 3.5, and everyone was just hammering the Seahawks, so it jumped up to 4.5.
Okay, I bet. I mean, for sure. Because frankly, I thought it would. You just gave me that in preparation for, recording today, and that was lower than I expected it to be honest with you.
Yeah. Um, okay, and then moving off the field here a little bit. So there's obviously, we talked about it a little bit last week, but there's been some updates with coaching searches. So I've
Right?
been seeing that multiple candidates have been withdrawing their name from the Browns head coaching search. And
Yeah.
they're getting pretty far in the interview process here. I, I just don't really get it. Are the Browns just that poor of a franchise where guys don't want to be the head coach? They're because I look at their roster, it's not that as bad as people think it is.
Oh no. You have the record holder for sacks in one season. You've got a quarterback that is going to the Pro Bowl.
We'll talk about that here in a minute.
But point being, I mean, like you said, their on-field talent is not the worst in the league, and so who knows what people are seeing when they go in, to do their interviews and whatnot. I must be really, really tough behind the scenes.
Because their team is also young. This past season they had one of my favorite rookie classes. They had Judkins, the running back from Ohio State. He's proven to be their running back one for the foreseeable future. You have Shadur, who I think has shown enough potential to have at least a shot to be the starter next season, assuming they don't sign anyone else, or depending on what happens with Deshaun. Defensive side of the ball, they have one finalist for Defensive Rookie of the Year and another guy, Mason Graham, who's awesome. They hit on a lot of picks this year. They have one of the best defenses in football. Their team is overall pretty young. I just don't understand why these guys would be dropping out unless it's, like you said, behind the scenes stuff.
Which it has to be. I mean, isn't that the
Yeah.
goal? You plug through all of these. You know, the path to be a head coach in the NFL from when you make that career choice way back in your, I'm going to say 20s, and start working your way to ultimately be the head coach of an NFL team, and to get to the point where you can, you're interviewing for it and you take yourself out of the running versus someone deciding to not hire you.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, it's got to be really bad somewhere in there that you're seeing that is causing you to make that decision.
Yeah. And then I saw Philip Rivers withdrew from the Bills head coaching search.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious what he's going to do. If he's actually seriously trying to now get on the NFL coaching cycle, or if he's just
Right.
going to go back and keep coaching high school football like he was doing. Um, but then a couple of actual hires here. So Steelers hire Mike McCarthy, which I found that really interesting. I thought they'd maybe go with like a younger coordinator or something.
Right.
But do you,
I didn't even know McCarthy was still trying to get hired for a head coaching position.
because he's been, let me think. I think he got fired by Dallas in 24. So he's been out of the league now for almost 2 years and
Right.
never went back as a coordinator or anything.
Nope.
I wonder, do you think it's Steelers trying to get Rodgers to stay for another year? Or,
Very well could be. I mean, they seemed to get along pretty well. When he was the coach of the Packers, and they were together for years
a long
and had great success. I mean, they won a Super Bowl together.
yeah,
So maybe.
yeah.
I mean, what is Pittsburgh's other option? I mean, they have to be wanting to keep Rodgers. I mean, they had relatively good success with him. They made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So probably.
Yep. Yeah, because the only young guy they have on their roster, Will Howard out of Ohio State. I mean, he's a fifth round pick, and he was an older prospect, anyways. They're like you say with the Vikings, they're in a tough part of the draft where you barely make the playoffs, wild card or whatever, so you're kind of stuck there in the middle. And this also isn't a great quarterback class, anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah, you just hope Rodgers comes back.
I
Um,
saw, speaking of, quarterbacks and whatnot, I saw a post of a potential trade. Now it is, fabricated or whatever, nothing. I mean, unless maybe somebody knows something behind the scenes, but it was J.J. McCarthy and a couple players from the Vikings to the Bengals for Joe Burrow.
I saw that same post. Yeah, it was like JJ McCarthy, Dallas Turner, and 2 first round picks.
That's it.
Yep. That would be so crazy.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun.
And just if he went from Jamar back to Justin,
Yeah, totally.
crazy.
So cool. One of the things about the Vikings is um, I have seen a few times where they rank all of the NFL teams based on player uh, player approval for everything behind the scenes and dealing with the team, as well as the NFLPA, the Players Association. And the
Yeah.
Vikings are always in like the top three.
And I know the Bengals are close to last in everyone.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
apparently, I don't know the owner's name off the top of my head, but I've just heard he's like one of the cheapest guys in the league.
Yeah.
No, that'd be nice for Joe, though. Um,
Oh, for sure. Brown. Um, the owner of the Bengals' last name is Brown.
let's see here. Oh, yeah, Mike Brown.
Mike Brown. Yep. Yep.
Um,
So that's kind of interesting, but that'd be fun. Fun if it happened. Fun if it
yeah,
happened. Well, and you've got, like you said, a lot of these coordinators that are, or, former head coaches, Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins, for instance, there are obviously a number of head coaching positions available right now, and choosing to go back and be a coordinator, with the Chargers is what he ultimately did.
yeah,
But I don't know. I don't remember really a time in the past when there's been a number of head coaching vacancies and people, former coaches, former head coaches that are could get a head coaching job are choosing to go be a coordinator. Very interesting.
yeah. And then, I mean, so the Ravens hired Jesse Minter, the Chargers DC, as their new head coach, and
Who made that hire? I'm sorry.
the Ravens.
Oh, right, right.
And then what was the other one? Oh, hired Sala out of San Francisco as their new head coach.
That I missed that.
That
Wow.
one I found out about that one a day late. I that one surprised me, which Sala obviously did an awesome job this past year with that Niners defense with how many injuries they had, but I just didn't think he was going to get hired again as a head coach this quick just after what a disaster the Jets were.
Well, and the way that it ended
Yeah.
was really so ugly and
Hmm.
unfortunate and very awkward circumstances when you had Rodgers coming in and having it be so weird with Rodgers getting hurt on the basically like the second play of the game, blowing his Achilles of the first game of the season, and then him having so much behind the scenes power,
Hmm.
which just I don't whatever. I just don't. I'm not into that. But whatever.
Yeah.
Plus, I can't stand him. I think he's just brutal. But whatever. Um, so yeah,
No, I completely agree. And especially, it felt like during that weird little 2-year Rodgers stint there, the Jets were always the most talked about team in football, even though they did nothing. So he had the
Yeah,
full microscope on him.
right.
I am just curious what's going to happen with Sean McDermott because I feel like after all these hires the past 2 weeks, we're running out of head coaching spots.
Oh boy, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and who's to say he doesn't take a year off? I mean,
yeah.
he got fired, which means he's still going to get paid something,
Hmm.
throughout the year. Yeah, I never heard what his, what his package was upon being fired, but I'm sure it's pretty nice. Um, so yeah, I mean, after the all of the pressure over however many years he was there, 8 plus, I think.
Want to say, yeah, 8 or 9, yeah, right in there.
Yeah, don't you want a break? Goodness.
Probably that's a good point too. Wait and see if there's a good job in next year's cycle that opens up.
Yeah, yeah,
And then last piece of NFL, this isn't big by any means, but I just saw this earlier today. I thought it'd be worth bringing up. So Shadur Sanders replaces Drake May in the Pro Bowl because obviously the Super Bowl quarterbacks don't play in it. Um, it just blows my mind every year in the Pro Bowl, just because it always feels like one or two Super Bowl quarterbacks are in it, so they need to find the replacements. And the way they have to, whether it's guys are hurt, guys can't play, they have to dip down and just literally grab anyone. Because Shadur Sanders, don't get me wrong, I loved, not loved, but I liked what I saw from him this past year. But he
yeah,
played what, 5 games, went two and
yeah,
three or something, and the fact that he's here making a Pro Bowl, we saw it the same thing 2 or 3 years ago, where someone had to sit out. So they brought in Tyler Huntley, who played 3 or 4 games for the Ravens that
yeah,
year. Just
yeah.
bring in backups to play in the Pro Bowl. It just blows my mind.
I know it's interesting, and it kind of makes it feel like it cheapens the award
Mm-hmm.
itself. I mean, because it is an award for guys that played well for the season and earned it and that sort of thing. It feels like it cheapens it just a little bit. I mean, because you would not put him on the Pro Bowl team. You would just not. They're simply having to fill a space,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I mean, I just try and compare it to the NBA All Star game. Every year, there's a couple guys that might be hurt in February, so they need to bring in a replacement or something. But those replacements that they bring in the NBA, you look at them and you're like, okay, that guy that's like an all star caliber player.
yep,
Could have
they're
made the
worthy.
all star game. Yeah, all star worthy. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yep.
Whereas, and it always feels like it's mostly quarterbacks when it comes to the Pro Bowl, where it's like, that's really who we're bringing in for this.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, just because there's so few.
Yeah. I just
Yeah,
thought that'd be fun to touch on.
I know for sure. I'm glad because that would be something when you're sitting around a water cooler and go, "What the heck has that? Where'd that come from?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, College football, obviously it's over, but I just saw an interesting stat the other day. So I didn't know this, but the transfer portal is now officially closed. I feel like that kind of went under the radar. Um, so no one new can enter the portal, but there are still 1,200 players in the portal that are uncommitted.
Yeah.
And we said it last week, but you feel bad for these kids because they're probably getting bad information, thinking they'd get more money when the schools aren't calling. And I also just learned this that these kids aren't able to just like sit around and wait for a call to come like during spring training if someone gets injured or something. These players have to currently be enrolled at a certain school. So it can't be easy for them to try and transfer mid-semester or something like that. So it's a tough situation they're in.
For sure. And it goes back to what you and I talked about last week, where they're getting bad information, be it from a parent, be it from a high school coach,
Yeah.
be it from a quote unquote friend that is trying to act as their agent. or
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Yep.
and saying, "Hey, go into the portal because you'll be able to get more money down the road. Wherever you end up, you'll get more money."
Yeah.
Well, that is not always the case. And when you're talking about, I mean, as of last week, Ben, you and I both said there were 10,000 plus kids that were in the portal. Excuse me, not in at that time, but had over the course of time from the portal opening, 10,000 football players entered the portal. And then you get in there expecting, and let's say for whatever reason, a potential school that could have picked you up doesn't, because whether they don't like you or they have filled it or whatever the case may be, then again, like we said last week, you look at going back to where you came from and they say, we filled it because you left. You
Yep.
joined the portal. And then you're in this no man's land. Brutal.
Yeah. It
So,
it's sad.
it's sad. It's really too
they
bad.
need to clean it up. Yeah. Just so this stuff isn't happening.
Yeah.
Then college basketball, big day on Saturday. The two big upsets. So Texas Tech upset Houston,
Right.
which I watched that game and it was close the whole time. It was a fun basketball game. But gosh, once it hit the 2 minute mark and it was still about a tie game, Houston, for some reason, just started chucking up contested threes on every possession like there was only 10 seconds left and they needed it. It just kind of surprised me to see out of a Kelvin Sampson team, just because
Right.
he's one of the best coaches in college basketball. I don't know. That was interesting. And then
For
the
as for as highly touted as they were starting the season and playing well in the beginning of the season, I mean, they played up to that
yeah,
ranking. They've had a tough stretch here over the last few weeks. They've fallen off quite a bit.
yeah, they were number 6 going into that game, and then I'm sure on Monday they'll probably drop to 9 or 10 if I had to guess.
Yeah, I was going to say 10 or whatever, but
And then Illinois upsets Purdue. That was 11 upsetting 4, which both of these games, so Houston and Illinois had freshmen that scored 40. The Illinois freshman scored 46.
that's
And then
crazy.
there was a third freshman, AJ DeBansa from BYU. He also scored 40 that day. So 3 freshmen scoring 40 on Saturday. That actually sets a new NCAA record for most freshmen scoring 40 in a single day,
In a single day. Unbelievable.
which I've said it in past episodes. I'll probably talk about it more once March Madness rolls around and then the NBA draft. This might be the best freshman class I've ever seen. They are
Yeah.
so good. Yeah.
The availability to good development to young kids is at an unprecedented level. And I'm simply talking about it from looking at what the Sioux Falls market is like, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and how there are basketball academies all around town for kids to start working on, to develop into basketball players, starting in the third, fourth, and fifth grades. And I'm sure even younger than that if I were to really dive into it. But, and because you did it for a while. I mean, I remember doing that, with you going into these academies and whatnot. So it's bound to pay off, and now we're seeing it. I mean, where freshmen are coming into college basketball and are ruling the roost, basically.
Yeah. I mean, and it is even crazy now compared to when I was in elementary school, middle school, high school, just how much more there is in Sioux Falls now. Which,
Jeez Louise, yeah, it's
and
crazy.
then you can only imagine how much bigger it is in big cities like New York, LA, Texas. Yeah. And then, the other big basketball. So Alabama tried to sign a G League player. The NCAA denied it, but then a Alabama judge gave like a temporary restraining order where this guy's now allowed to play for a certain time period, and he played his first game the other day, scored 13 points, but Alabama lost to Tennessee. Um, it's funny on the NCAA football side, there's everyone's complaining about the transfer portal and the coaching window. And then in basketball, now you have these professionals trying to come back into college basketball. It's amazing how the NCAA can't get it right across the board.
No. And I don't know. I mean, so this is the second NCAA basketball player that has been a professional basketball player and coming back that you and I have talked about. The kid that came back and is on the Baylor basketball team.
Yeah.
That was the one we talked about a few weeks ago. And I am not for it. I'm not for it in basketball. I'm not for it in golf. I'm not for it in anything. So I don't know. I saw Dan Hurley came out, head coach of the UConn, who's won, a couple NCAA championships over the last 3 years. Come out and say if this is going to continue, I'm going to quit. I mean, that was a pretty harsh statement.
I'm curious if that's like an in the moment thing or if he actually would quit.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
UConn's been awesome for the past 5 years. They're number 2 right now. So I'm wondering if he would actually walk away if this continues.
Well, and I think though the one interesting thing that I mean, we've seen crazier things where
That's true.
let's say you have an aging NBA basketball player that is in the sunset of his career, has eligibility from his years when he was in college, played college basketball for a year or two, or maybe even 3 or whatever,
Yeah.
and says, you know what, I don't want to give it up. I just don't want to give it up. And NIL, I mean, so you can still get money. You can. It's not like you're going back to college and playing for nothing like it was back in the day when some of these aging stars would have been in the NBA or in college basketball.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that wouldn't happen. And the problem is now you're setting precedent for allowing a professional player to come back and join. It just so happens that these last two were in the very, very, very beginning of their career.
Yeah.
Now, but you've set the precedent, and LeBron decides to come back. We said this the other day. LeBron decides to come back and play one season with his son that's at U of A.
Yeah. Which I said it last time too, but me as an Arizona fan and a LeBron fan, that would be so awesome. But
Oh my gosh.
I completely agree it's wrong. Yeah.
But here's the thing, Ben.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to say that about any school. I mean, if Draymond Green is in the sunset of his career,
Yep.
but let's say he has 1 or 2 years of eligibility left. I have no idea. But
I think he has one. Yeah.
let's say he's going to go back to Michigan State and play one more year of college basketball.
Yeah. No, it's insane.
That place would go bananas. Same thing, like you're saying, being an Arizona fan and you get LeBron in there for whatever. Wherever any of these guys would go absolutely bananas just to see him wearing a college basketball uniform and playing again. And I'm sure it would be pretty darn good.
LeBron's, still killing it in the NBA.
Playing same with Draymond. I mean, playing against college kids. And let's say in 3 years, I mean, if they keep allowing this, they're going to set more and more precedent as to professionals coming back. I mean, these aren't going to be the last two that try to do it. Where what it's going to be, and is right now, is kids come out, either do or don't get drafted, go into the professional world, play overseas, which has to be really hard to be away from home, which is everything that you know. And you're like, well, forget this. I want to go back, and now I can make some money in college.
Yeah.
I'm still decent. This is not the last that we've heard of that.
No, and it's just sad because college has always been like a developmental 4 or 5 year process, depending on if you redshirt or not, whatever. But you're taking these spots away from 18 and 19-year-olds that are figuring it out, have potential. Yeah,
Yep.
it just shouldn't be happening.
Right.
All right. NBA here. So the main point I have here. So Giannis the other day had a calf strain, which is usually a 4 to 6 week injury, but the Bucks did not give any kind of timetable. They were asked about it and refused to give a timetable. So a lot of people are wondering now, is this kind of the sign like that they're starting to look at Giannis trades? Because the Bucks have been a disaster this season.
Right.
The team around him is just not good.
Yep.
And there's also been a surprising lack of trades for this point in the year because the deadline's February 5th. We're, what is that, 11 days away? The other day, I was listening to one of my favorite NBA guys on YouTube and Bleacher Report, Kenny Beecham. He covers basketball a lot more in depth than we do, and he's like, I can't feed my family right now. There's no NBA trades happening. There's nothing for me to cover. That was really funny.
That is funny. That is funny.
So it's been quiet. So hopefully this is it because we're at about the same point that Luka got traded last year.
Well, and I'm hoping, just for the fun of it, that it's kind of like all quiet on the Western Front, getting ready for a big offensive push. And by offensive, I meant from, all quiet on the Western Front, a war, analogy where, everyone's gearing up to then make, let's just say there's a lot of, hopefully a lot of conversations taking place behind the scenes that are being kept very much secret. And over the course of the next 10 days, all of a sudden there's just a flood of fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I hope so because I know people like when players stay on a team for a long time, but I don't know. It's fun to talk about whenever there's movement and
oh, absolutely,
stuff getting switched up. Yeah,
for sure. That's a ton of fun to talk about. I mean, that's when there isn't a lot going on the field of play, whatever that surface might be. You need a lot of hot stove stuff to keep it interesting. So hopefully we get that.
Yeah, and I mean the Bucks aren't looking good for the future, and it's not like Giannis is old now, but he's what, 31, 32? He's, let's see, 31, yeah. So he's not getting any younger. He's got, let's call it 3 or 4 years left of his prime before he might start declining.
Sure.
The team around him isn't great. They don't have a lot of picks in the future because they lost most of them making trades like the Damian Lillard trade, which they waived him, so that panned out to absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes you just need to reset.
Yep. I totally agree. And the player usually, the big name player in the middle or back side of the career doesn't want to be a part of it. And most of the time the team and the player can work pretty hand in hand.
Yeah.
To make that work. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Okay. Looking at golf now. So this past weekend, Scotty Scheffler won the Amex. He was 27 under. Did you watch a decent amount of it?
I didn't watch a decent amount of it. I watched some of it. The final round, was going on when the football games were on, so I didn't really watch much of it at all yesterday. Plus, when I did glance over at it, at one point he had a 6-shot lead mid round. And then actually I've seen clips of it and then rinsed it on number 17, which, you're like, what are you doing? Are you just wanting the challenge to make it a little harder just for fun or whatever? But so that's his 20th career win, and his earnings on course are over $100 million. There's a good chance he's behind Tiger and he's behind Rory. and there's a good chance that he can pass them both this year if he has another absolutely career year like he did, has had the last couple of years. So he beat Jason Day. Jason Day had a hell of a last day. He shot a 64, which vaulted him up into a T2 spot.
Wow.
So, they won. He closed it out by 4. Scheffler was at minus 27, and those guys were at minus 23. One of the exciting parts of the whole week was the story of Blades Brown. So he played in the Korn Ferry event in the Bahamas, finished that on Wednesday, jumps on a plane, and flies all the way across the country from the Bahamas, lands late night Wednesday night for a Thursday morning tee time, plays, and then has about a 10 to 12 foot putt on 18, which I believe on Friday, to break 60, shoot a 59. And his putt was online with his playing competitors, was just outside of his putt, so he was able to see it, and that guy rolled it in.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it was just a little bit of the stroke or the pressure of the moment or all of the situations combined, he just pushed the putt a little bit and missed the 59, tapping for a 60. So he played well. Then he came back out and on Saturday shot a 60. What did he shoot? He shot a 68. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then unfortunately came out yesterday and shot a 74, which I think that put him at a T18. So, but a neat story. That's pretty cool. Played 8 competitive days in a row. Had 4 Korn Ferry rounds, right on the heels of 4, PGA Tour rounds at the Amex. So.
That's
On we
so
go.
much
Next week is
golf.
the Farmers Insurance, at Torrey Pines.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting. It's Brooke Koepka's first round,
wow.
first tournament, being back on the PGA Tour. So that's kind of exciting. And then the week after, of course, is the Waste Management. That always is on the same weekend as the Super Bowl, and they, they put the final round on Sunday early in the day so that everybody's finished and able to watch the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah.
That'll be kind of fun. It'll be interesting to see how Brooks Koepka competes against everybody now back on the PGA Tour. Interesting news that came out last week from the last time we talked about Brooks moving from LIV to the PGA Tour. Back then, when it came out, we listed all of the very broad general criteria that he was required to do coming back onto the PGA Tour, and how they opened that window. And one of the criteria for people that could move, you had to have won a major anywhere between 2022 and 2025, which that accounted for 4 people, Brooks being one. The other ones, Cam Smith, John Rahm, and Bryson DeChambeau, they all came out and said they are staying on LIV. So, yeah. That's kind of interesting that they're all staying.
Wow, yeah, so that's really interesting that all 3 of them decided to stay. I thought Rom would maybe come back because it feels like he's not liking LIV that much. I know you talked about last week with the whole drone.
No,
thing.
and if you watched, the press conference that they had where they asked Rom, what he's planning on doing or whatever. I mean, you had Cam Smith give the best answer and the most energetic answer, for lack of a better term, where he was like, I'm happy. I love it. I'm going to keep doing this. I feel like we're spreading golf to it. He's big Australia guy. And versus, and then DeChambeau said, I've got a contract through this year. I'm going to see it through. Kind of middle of the road. No enthusiasm, but no die. Ron just gives this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going to be. I mean, and it's like, wow, if I were to LIV, I'd be like, thanks for the enthusiasm to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a Rom guy anyway. I don't like him. But
no, he does seem
it was the most depressing answer I've ever heard. Yeah. Awful.
That's brutal.
Awful. So, yeah, that's it for this week on the golf front. Next week will be interesting after Farmers Insurance.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to watch that since there's no football next week. And And then on Saturday, did you see the free solo climber climb the building in Taiwan?
Good Lord. I've only just seen clips. I did not watch it on Saturday, to be honest with you, and I honestly don't know if I could. That guy is a freak of nature. I don't know how you are able to do that without being tied off. I was profusely sweating watching it. Just the 30-second clips that I've seen of it.
Yeah. I was watching it with a couple of my friends, and we watched it start to finish. And obviously, you hope he doesn't fall. But it's like, what's gonna happen with Netflix here if that were to happen? And there was a
Oh goodness.
there was a second where their internet lagged and our screen went black, and we all looked at each other like, "Oh my gosh, did that just happen?" And then it came back on, and we're like, "Oh, it was the internet." It was really funny. No, but
Oh man.
some of the obstacles you have to climb over, it's crazy how he does that and how he has the grip strength to go for 2.5 hours. I forgot exactly what he went, but insane. Yeah.
Insane. And I don't think you've seen it, but if you go on to Netflix, there's a documentary. He was the first to free climb Half Dome in Yosemite National Park, and it is frighteningly unbelievable.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, I just saw
Yeah,
that this weekend
totally.
and I'm like, that's interesting. And then our last segment here,
Oh,
this or that.
jeez.
This week we're gonna do top three movies. So like these are movies you could turn on anytime. If you're stranded on an island, these are your last three movies. Yeah. You can kick
Jeez.
it off here.
That's tough, Ben. That is tough.
Mm.
I look at you always hear guys talk about what the best ever movie made. You've got Shawshank Redemption, you've got The Godfather, you've got this and that, and um, while they are, Titanic has been Titanic and Avatar or whatever are the highest grossing movies ever, or
Yeah.
something like that. Are those ones that you can just watch over and over and over again? I'm sure there are people that can. I can't. Um,
Hmm.
uh, I'm gonna throw you a little bit of a curveball on which one I always stop at all the time, even if I had stopped at it, for instance, the night before, and that is Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I can watch it anytime,
Hmm.
anywhere, start to finish, middle, whatever. Um, I'm going to throw in a comedy in there, and I'm going to go way back. I know there's some good ones over history, obviously, Dumb and Dumber, and all of that. But I'm going to go all the way back to Fletch. Fletch is one of my all-time favorites. It's a Chevy Chase mid '80s fantastic movie. Wonderful quotes that I still quote to this day. This past weekend, I just dropped I'll have a Bloody Mary and a steak sandwich and a steak sandwich. So I still quote it to this day. And then your mom and I just love watching You've Got Mail. It's a great rom-com. So,
Hmm.
and I love Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan together. It's a cute little movie. That's one though. In
Yeah.
all honesty, if I come across it and we're sitting there trying to find something to watch, I'm putting it on. So there you
Yeah.
go. Those are mine.
That's a fun list. My first one, I'm gonna go with my comedy here, which, like you said, there's so many good ones. But I have to go with The Hangover. That's one I can always turn on and watch from where it's at. Bradley Cooper and Zach Galifianakis and Ed Helms are all so good in that movie. But it's tough because you have other good ones like Step Brothers. Love that one. Super bad. Awesome. So it's hard. My next one, I'm gonna go Django Unchained. That's my favorite Quentin Tarantino
Oh,
movie, and he's one of my favorite directors. But that one's awesome. Just
yeah, that's a great movie.
Christoph Waltz and Jamie Foxx are so good in it. The action scenes are awesome. You have a couple good laughs in there. Yeah, I love that one. And
And
then,
shout out to Tom Wopat,
oh,
Notebook,
yep,
having a spot in there.
there you go.
Love it.
Um, and then the last one I'm gonna go with Me being like a Star Wars and Marvel guy, I feel like I always want to put one in there, but there's a lot of good options. And I debate between episode 3 of Star Wars and Avengers Infinity War. But I think I have to go with Star Wars episode 3. It's such a classic. There's so many good fights in there. You have Obi-Wan versus Anakin. It's such a good movie. Yeah. So that's my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can never go wrong with any Star Wars movie, let alone your favorite. So that's a good call.
Yeah. No, that was a fun episode. Good movie lists. We got Super Bowl coming up here in 2 weeks, so that'll be fun. Yeah, but good to be with you.
Oh, great to be with you. We do have some fun stuff coming up going into the summer once we're through the basketball season, and then we'll have baseball, but there's only so much of that you can talk about. We'll do some fun stuff over the summer of, you know, reviewing the life of and the playing career of certain players that crossed over both from my generation into Ben's generation, or even going into someone that was in my generation that you're familiar with but didn't necessarily play. We've got some fun stuff coming up.
Yep, couple top 5 lists, logos, jerseys, stuff like that.
Oh,
So yeah, some good stuff in store. Thank you guys for listening.
Sure.
Remember to subscribe on YouTube, follow on Instagram and TikTok, 2Gen1 Mike Pod, and we will see you next week.
Awesome. Love you, bud. Great to be with you.
Love you too. Talk to you later.